Good morning and warm welcome. I am Manali, your host for today, Sadgun Sang Meet. We continue with our OHSMS Industrial Safety Series. Our topic for today is Engineering Safety. Shall be taken by speaker Mr. Anand Pal Singh. It shall follow panel discussion with Mr. Subarna Upadhyay, followed by questions and answer sessions. Let's quickly go through agenda of Sadgun Sang Meet. Virtual inauguration by Dr. Sundar Kataria, invoking the blessings of deity, chanting of Gayatri Mantra, introduction of speaker, presentation by Mr. Anand Pal Singh, introduction of panelists Mr. Anand Pal Singh, Mr. Subarna Upadhyay, Mr. Yogesh Chandekar, Dr. Sundar Kataria, panel discussion and questions and answer sessions. Closing session. Sadgun Sang, conceived by and lead by Dr. Sundar Kataria, driven with a mission to evaluate the equality, safety, and environmental awareness levels of industry. Sadgun Sang is a series of educative, informative events aiming to emulate professionals on possible solutions to current issues of industry and economy. A brief introduction of Dr. Sundar Kataria. He is the chairman and managing director of International Certification Services Private Limited. He has done his mechanical engineer AMIE. He has also done his honorary doctorate business management. He has started his career in building India's first nuclear power plant at Rawalbhata, Kota, Rajasthan. He contributed in developing India's first oil and gas field at Bombay High since its inception. He has head of industry and offshore development with DNV for 2 decades. He is the founder of first Indian conformity assessment and inspection body known as International Certification Services Private Limited, which is a provider of total quality solution under single umbrella with wide spectrum of services. He has achieved Lifetime Achievement Award of NACE Core On, received several national and international awards. Now we welcome Dr. Sundar Kataria to virtually inaugurate the session.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं
Can I? I'ma put my balls in your ball sack. Cause
Yo, Sundar, what's good?
I'm a bad boy. Sucks you way cause I turn straight to gay cause you know that's my way I so
What the hell is happening?
you talk me. I suck dick like I'm toxic.
Don't fucking
You
mute
suck
me,
on this
bro.
nigga's cock because I know that you are so fuck.
Don't fucking mute me.
Yo, can everyone hear me?
Why the fuck you keep
I'm a
muting me?
wanted poster, bro. I'm on a wanted poster. Shut the fuck up and suck my dick.
Yo, bro, can everyone hear me?
Yeah, bro.
Right, check it. Beat about meat in the back of the face.
Bro, she keeps muting us. Yo, Manali, can you stop muting us, please?
Please join us for the recitation of Gayatri Mantra.
स्वाहा तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वाहा तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात् ॐ
Introduction of the keynote speaker. A brief introduction of our keynote speaker, Mr. Anand Pal Singh. He is Regional Manager in International Certification Services Private Limited. He has done his BE Mechanical. He is qualified engineers in helicopter, airframe, and engines for repair and second line maintenance of all route aircraft and their associated equipments. He is qualified engineers for hydraulic trolley, ground power unit, DG sets, elementary courses in casualty, firefighting, crash, and civil device for Civil Defense Staff College, Mumbai. He is a lead auditor for ISO 9001, 14001, 45001, 50001, 13485, SA 8000, 27001. Please welcome Mr. Anand Pal Singh. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So welcome to the Satgunsang Meet. This is 69th virtual webinar. It is a great success to the team who is organizing every Saturday on some subject to give awareness and knowledge session sharing. The topic today is selected engineering safety, which is engineering safety is an engineering discipline which assures that engineering system provide acceptable level of safety. It is strongly related to industrial engineering, system engineering, and the subset system safety engineering. There is Okay, sorry, there was some error. So engineering safety. Engineering safety assures that a life critical system behaves as needed, even when the component fails. So before, generally, the principle of engineering safety is no longer just following the OSHA regulations. It is it is the coordination of all departments to produce the greatest profit for the organization, for the company, the most at the minimal risk. Who is Panit? Who is Panjit? Panjit is requesting, so I'm declining again. Please do not write. There are three major reasons for having engineering safety. The one and the foremost is the economic. Every individual, every company, every country, every organization is working for their economic benefits. And this machineries, the engineering is helping everyone for this by meeting the legal requirement is again a very important and factor for the engineering safety. And this engineering safety also gives a morale and motivations to our people. We shall be covering the major industrial accident through engineering machinery, vehicle movements, slip and trips, electricity, manual handling, uncertainties encountered in design procedure. So before we start, I'll take a 2.5 minutes of time to just have a look on how this.
Anandji, is there an audio with this?
Yeah, you are not able to see, sir?
No, we are not able to hear your audio. You will have to reshare it and put the audio yes. So you have to
Okay.
tick mark on the audio. So you stop sharing, share again, put the tick mark on the audio, sir. So when you do the share screen option, there is a button which says share audio. So just tick mark that.
Okay.
नहीं सर, इसमें नहीं है सर. जब आप शेयर बटन दबाते हो ना, तो वो स्क्रीन जब चूज करते हो उसी टाइम है.
Okay, okay. Here, when I'm putting the share,
उधर एक चेक बॉक्स है सर, एक टिक मार्क मारना है, शेयर साउंड. When you click on screen, no, the bottom left, share sound, optimize for video clip. The moment your screen opens, na, when you press share screen, on the bottom left,
bottom left.
share sound.
Okay.
Just tick on that. And then share your screen normally.
Same as system.
Same as system, correct. अब share sound कर दीजिए, just a tick button says share sound.
Is it can you hear now?
नहीं sir, आया नहीं है sir. But anyway, go on sir. I think.
Yeah.
Shutting down everything.
To avoid a full shutdown, a decision is made to halt maintenance on Pump A and bring it back online. But what nobody knows is that Pump A has a fatal flaw. During maintenance, its safety valve has been removed, meaning that there is nothing to stop thousands of cubic feet of gas escaping into the atmosphere. The faulty pump is switched back on. Then, at 9:55 p.m., disaster. A spark suddenly ignites the escaping gas, and an explosion rips through the rig. Confronted by 700-degree flames, most of the 226-strong crew are now either dead or severely injured.
Okay, so this was an incident which has happened at Piper Alpha. Safety is not an intellectual exercise to keep us in work. This was said by Sir Brian Appleton after his investigation. It is a matter of life and death. It is in the sum of our contribution to safety management that determines whether the people we work with live or die. You all aware about Union Carbide India Limited Bhopal case happened in 3rd December 1984. And the product handled was pesticide carbide using methylisocyanate. And the event happened on that day was leakage of water into MIC tank caused increase in temperature and pressure of MIC and release of 40,000 kg MIC. Lost 2,500 people immediately and more than 8,000 people after some time with that disease, and more than 5 lakh people are injuries till date. Why it has happened? It was happened because of the design is not followed, that storing MIC in large tank and filling beyond recommended levels, not following the safety, not following the standard given to the organizations, failure of safety system due to poor maintenance. Maintenance, again, a very important aspect of engineering safety. To save money, safety system have been switched off. I'll not say much on this. This is generally happening. Lack of skilled labor, inadequate emergency action plans. There is another incident happened in chemical plant Flixborough, England. And here the product was handled caprolactam used in manufacturing of nylon. This has happened in June 1974, and the event was the rupture of temporary bypass pipe leading to release of 40 tons of cyclohexane. 28 people died and 36 got seriously injured. The investigation has happened and it was found it was a poor design of higher pressure pipe system by inexperienced engineers. So here the focus is the design is also very important in a engineering safety. Simultaneously, shutting down of critical systems, not following the instructions, not following the guidelines, and pressure of water in reactors. The norms of the pressure, norms of the machine is not followed. Engineering safety focuses on specifically on engineering machinery, vehicle movements inside the plant, slip and trips, electricity, manual handling, uncertainties encountered in design process, and regulatory and statutory requirements. You can see this machine. This machine is very raw. It is open and you can see how unsafe it is. All parts protruding outside, safety guards are not there, housekeeping is not there, and very hazardous. This is one kind of machine which is more or less visible in many of the industries during the plant round. This you can see the steel industry. It is a very common scene in the steel plants where the atmosphere is hot and humid. Hazards are sourced by design or technology because there are certain things which we cannot relieve it. Must have some mitigation plan on such situations. You must have seen in construction sites also. In constructions, industry have been practicing this type of work, working on height, using safety harness and various other aspects, but then still accident happens. There are many thousands of accidents and cases of ill health every year in engineering workshop. More than half of all such accidents reported to HSE involve lifting and moving goods or slip, trips and falls. Between 10 to 15% of accidents involve the using of machinery. And HSE has produced guidance on how to prevent or manage many of the risks. Not only the HSE, it is the Factory Act gives each and every detail. I'll be sharing in the details in my presentation and coming slides. The objective of this presentation and this meeting is to improve safety and awareness in the industry. How we can do avoid the accidents and the accident preventions, reduce the accident and achieve 100% accident-free working. Save productivity, and the consequences are there by the accident. There are direct losses of the medical expenses, unavailability of trained and familiar operators, delay in production, loss of order, loss of revenue, and physical disability and death. There are some indirect losses also. There is no peace of mind in family. When a person is working in an organization where is, the safety is not there at all, and they always think whether he is will be coming back or not. Frustration in life, future plans upset, loss to the family if death or disablement occurs. The accidents happen due to unsafe acts, not following safety norms applicable to them. You have seen in the video clip and the pictorials which I have shown you that there are certain safety norms are established which are not followed. The standing orders of the company, the government of India, the state government is having their standing order of the company, which are very well established but not followed. Plant safety rules are very well established but not followed. Safety instructions not followed. Safety tips not followed, not known. Accident prevention instructions are not even known sometimes and in also not followed. Not using the safety guards. Chalta hai attitude. People take it very casual. The safety gadgets and PPs are being used for something else. We must have seen in this pandemic, people are having their mask on their chin, not appropriately using the safety gadgets. Recommended speeds and feeds of the machines are not followed. Not using right tools for the right job. Using worn out or non-standard tools. There are other miscellaneous causes also, like horseplay at the shop floor, disturbing the concentration of other by throwing item or talking, operating dangerous machines without training, without knowing, without orders. Shortcut method. This is again a very usual practice. People used to get things faster or to avoid certain processes. Not reporting the defects. There are defects came into the machine which are to be reported so that some incident or accident is not happening. Bad housekeeping, improper cleaning of tools, jobs, and machines. Not using proper and suitable PPEs. There are personal factors also involving in the cases of cause of accidents. There are faulty attitudes like lack of attention, irresponsibility or recklessness, defective visions. People are not being checked for their visions, lack of sleep, doing too many jobs or overtime is done more, or sometimes he is having his personal commitment and joining the organizations. Risk-taking tendency, alcohol, drug habits, worry and emotions, and certainly the physical fitness. To handle a machine, a physical fitness is mandatory. There are certain unsafe conditions like faulty machines, and there is no provision of guards, no proper ventilations, very poor illumination, no caution boards, notice boards, improper maintenance, and periodical maintenance inspection not done. Certainly, the natural calamities also causing the accidents, lightning, floods, collapsing of building, earthquakes, and any other natural calamities which happens and causing the accident, which is again a big concern. For this, we all managers, supervisors, operators are responsible for ensuring that the hazards are identified. Once the hazards are known, the risks are assessed in their areas under their control. Risk assessments are recorded and retained for any significant hazards. Staff must be aware and understand the relevant risk in their processes. It is not only to identify the risk and keeping it in the register. It has to be known to each and every person involved in that particular process. And that risk assessment which is done, it is not done for once. It is to be reviewed periodically. There is a control band for the technique used to guide and assessment the management of workplaces. There are a hierarchy of controls given, but generally it has been seen by the safety officers are going only with the administrative controls and PPEs. They have adequate SOPs and various emergency preparedness plans, and then the PPEs are provided. But it has to be started from elimination, then the substitutions, then engineering controls. Then we have to come to the administrative controls. We have to learn and we must understand how this hierarchy of control, the control banding for eliminating the hazards. There are common controls for engineering safety, which are required to be there at every organization. That is written instructions on the use of machine to operators. Operators are competent and follow the safe system of work. Training to ensure they have the correct skill, knowledge, and risk awareness. Particularly, attention should be given to the danger at machine. The operator must know what all the dangers are there in that particular machines so that he is taking care of that. Systems for reporting defect. This is earlier also I have said that defects in every engineering component can come, but it has to be reported timely to avoid the accidents. Precaution to reduce the risk of entanglement and correct use of guards and other safety devices. Daily test of the trip devices. There are safety provisions given in the machines, machineries, equipments, but those have to be tested every day. Proper cleaning, maintenance, setting and adjustment loading of workpieces. It should be done, and not letting unauthorized, unqualified or untrained operator to use the machinery. There are 10 commandments for safety, which generally being followed or to be followed in the industry where the engineering safety is must. Use of proper plugs, no hand tools, which is not double insulated in use, no joint of weld lead in uninsulated, no direct connections from switchboard, no welding set improperly earthed, no man working without wearing PPEs, no fire extinguisher is overdue testing, and no empty fire buckets, no welding work in finishing shop without proper supervision and without taking precautions, no grinding machines, circular saw working, etc. without proper guards, and no wire ropes chains overdue testing in use. There is a supervisor's roles in safety. Every supervisors know the safety policy so that he can inculcate the knowledge to his subordinates. Ensure safety in daily work culture. He is the person, he has to ensure safety around him. The waste are disposed in time and housekeeping is kept well, and the reporting of the injuries, small injuries, minor injury or big injury. Injury is injury that has to be reported every time. Safe material handling, motivation to staff, support, help in work to staff, training to untrained staff. This is supervisor's responsibility, and he has to ensure that every person is using PPEs during the work, and giving valuable suggestions point to point at every respective time. He has to give that valuable suggestion and set the example, because once he is knowing all those things, then only he will be able to set an example and set the corrective actions. Protection devices. Every machines and every equipment is having certain protection devices, and the operator and anyone near machine may also be provided by a combination of the protection devices. It is to the machines and it is to the operator. These include hold to run control and trip devices together with suitable safe system of work. These protection devices do not directly prevent entanglement or entrapment. They are intended to help prevent or minimize the extent of injury in the event of entanglement, etc., by quickly stopping the machine. Operator should be trained to use the protection devices correctly. Manager should ensure that the protection devices are properly installed, maintained, and used. All protection devices should be suitable for the purpose for which they are provided and be of good construction, sound material, and adequate strength to withstand the stress of the expected service conditions. Where necessary, components, that is interlocking switches, should be provided with additional mechanical protections. Wherever the guards and protective devices are used, must be properly inspected and tested. The machines are in efficient and effective working orders. After the inspection and test, must be documented with a signed certificate, that is daily inspection or daily check record, which is normally kept on or near to the machine. Regular inspection and maintenance. Maintenance plays a very critical role in the engineering safety, including the various important aspects like brakes and various other safety devices. Detailed advice on the matter should be contained in the manufacturer's instructions manual. Cleaning, including cleaning of the rollers, should be carried out with the machines switched off and isolated. Vehicle plays a big role in engineering safety, and Factory Act 1948 also says that it must put sensible precautions in place to reduce the risk that vehicle can cause. In engineering premises, the risks are most likely to come from the delivery lorries which are coming to the organizations and the forklift which are used for moving the material around the workplace. Delivery vehicles can hit pedestrian and forklifts, so it is important that driver understand and follow the site rules to control these risks. You also need to think about preventing fall from the vehicle during loading and unloading operations. Forklift should be suitable for the task required of them and be properly maintained. Driver should be only operate forklifts that they are trained and authorized to use. Untrained drivers often causes accidents. It has been seen in the industry, the forklift which is inside the factory, whosoever is wanting and just using it, have enough time to do the task. He should not be in hurry so that he is under pressure and take any risk. There should be site specific rules for the vehicles, for the site transport routes with a good surface, no obstructions, no blind spots. The speed limits are defined, consideration of risk from other vehicles and pedestrians also to be defined. The pedestrian, when the company is big and having a lot of areas where the people are walking and vehicles also going, so their pedestrian also to be taken well care. Slip trips is again a very common cause of accident in general engineering workshops. It is due to oily floors in engineering workshop. So we must use sawdust immediately where there is a leakage. You must have a oil leak plan and a planned maintenance for each machine where the leaks are there. That has to be fixed immediately. The electricity plays again a very big role in engineering safety. Safety in electrical testing at general works, that is a general guidance as per Electricity Act. Safety in electrical testing and adequate earthing as per IS 3043 1987 Code of Practice of Earthing. This is very important. Material handling and manual handling is again a area where we have to see during engineering safety, because when the loading, moving or unloading the material, we get lot of issues in muscular skeletal disorders, sprains, aches, or injury to tendon, joint, or bones. When we are lifting a material which is having fumes or which is of chemical based, or that fumes can go, how to hold that, how to lift that, that also to be seen during this. Manual handling, we must think before lifting and handling what is the material, how it is to be done, adopt a stable positions, get a good hold and start in good posture. Don't flex the back and further while lifting, move smoothly. As I told, the Factory Act gives enough information about the inspecting staff for the general duties of the occupier, about the safety, for the manufacturers, for the inspectors, for the power of inspectors, and certifying surgeons. This chapter 3 speaks about health. In that, it is very clearly and very elaborately explained the cleanliness, disposal of waste and effluents, ventilations, dust, fumes. So all aspects have been covered here. It is just I have given a indication. This Factory Act is available, and we must go. Every individual must know these safety aspects which are given there in the Factory Act. All safety with relate to the revolving machineries, pressure plants, pits, excessive weight, protection of eyes, precaution in case of fire, power to require specification of defective parts. So there are many things, or you can say everything is given in this. And chapter 41 4A provision relating to hazardous processes, their constitution of site appraisal committee, compulsory disclosure of information by the occupier. You must have seen the board displayed outside the company. Specific responsibility of the occupier in relation to hazardous process. Power of central government to appoint inquiry committee in case of any investigation required, and emergency standards. Permissible limits of exposure of chemical and toxic substances. Workers' participation in safety management. Right of worker to warn about the imminent dangers. Again, the welfare conditions, there are too many are there. We must go the Factory Act 1948, that is Act number 63 of 1948, as amended by the Factories Amendment Act 1987, Act 20 of 1987, served to assist in formulating national policies in India with respect to occupational safety and health in factories and docks in India. It deals with various problems concerning safety, health, efficiency, and well-being of the persons at workplace. It was replaced by the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020 also. The organization's responsibility to follow the regulatory requirements, which are very well defined and known to them. They must identify which all regulatory requirements are applicable to them. They must incorporate these appropriate regulatory requirements within their management system and conduct hazard identification and risk assessment. This is very important to identify the significant risk as per the criteria. Here, the safety and health issues are shown here, the time of impact and the severity of impact, and how the health issues are there in that, with the fatality and with the adverse effect. Safety levels, everyone is responsible for the safety controls, the regulatory boards, the economic, because there are a lot of penalties and other things, organizations, top management, managerial supervisors, and the operation and maintenance, the technique and design and research and educations with relate to the technology. It is time to effect the system safety, and it could be short term, it could be medium term, it could be long term, but has to be identified for the accident investigations and with the interest of the shareholders or stakeholders, managers, and of the companies who are involved. This is one of the Peterson model of accident cause. Here you can see the safety officer is looking after the system failure policy. The system failure policy is happened due to some accident, and this accident has happened with some human error. This human error could be the human behavior or human, and this is with the decision which is taken, because this is not only the human error, there is a human behavior in which he is taking the decision, and due this the accident is happening. Also the design of the machines, design of the station, design of the area, design of the placement of the machineries, and the capacity of the machines and the load it can take. So all those things are the traps, and where it is not being followed, then this accident happens and the system failure policies is affected. Knowledge is again a very important factor here. We have to have a concept to understand what is the system. With that system, we must know what all the management tools are there. With that, we must identify the hazards. So how to identify the hazard of a machineries, and what is the safety of the safety by design in that particular machine, and with that hazard, what all the risks are there through the risk assessment, and what could be the human error. And this is a eye of engineering system details. So this is from my side. The topic was very elaborated, but I tried to compile it in a very short duration. I'll request now Manali to take over.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation and explaining the topic in simplifying way. Let's move ahead with panel discussion, and our panelists are Dr. Sundar Kataria, Mr. Subarna Upadhyay, Mr. Anand Pal Singh, Mr. Yogesh Chandikar. Please put in your questions in the chat box, which shall be taken up during the discussion. A brief introduction of Mr. Subarna Upadhyay. He is a retired director of Nepal Bureau of Standards and Metrology. He has done his BE in textile engineering. He has done advanced training in industrial environmental management. He has 27 years of vast experience with NBSB and 3 years experience in international organization ESPS as CP, EMS and EQMS consultant. He is certified lead auditor for ISO 45001, 9001, 14001 and 17025. He is lifetime member of Nepal Engineers Associate. Please welcome Mr. Subarna. A brief introduction of Mr. Yogesh Chandikar. He is General Manager in Certification International Certification Services Private Limited. He has done his BE Mechanical. He has also done Diploma in Business Management. He has also done his Advanced Diploma in Industrial Safety. His area of specialization are Management System Certification, Third-Party Inspections, Plant Safety Audits. Please welcome Mr. Yogesh Chandikar. Over to you, sir, for panel discussion.
Thank you, Manali. Am I
Yes,
audible?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Anand sir. Thank you for presenting on the today's topic, the engineering controls and related to the safety with respect to the machinery, then the vehicle movements, then steep trip falls, electricity related, and the material handling, overall housekeeping and all. So nicely covered. We know that each and every topic will have a separate presentation, because safety is so vast and so many things are associated with that. But still, you have taken us through fair idea about what exactly the issues in the safety and how to overcome those. You have also given the solutions or the requirements with the statutory requirements and all that. So, first of all, I would like to know, Anand sir, regarding the engineering controls that we have. So I think the inbuilt systems, that means whatever the machinery they are, any organization will use, ideally it should be having the safety inbuilt controls. So to that extent, whether that kind of regulations or that kind of requirements are set on the manufacturers who are manufacturing those kind of machines, who will have the hazards. That is the risk mitigation at the manufacturer end for that particular machine. On that aspect, if you throw some light on that.
Yes. The machine manufacturers, whosoever is there, as per the Factory Act, there are certain safety requirement has to be taken, and this responsibility is given to the manufacturer also to have inbuilt. These machines are generally IS certified also, which are having some BIS marking, where it is a mandatory requirement sometimes. But generally, the Factory Act covers this, that the manufacturer must give all safety requirements and must be approved and tested and then offered to the operators or the users.
Yes. Now, I will just ask Subrata Upadhyay sir, so just throw some light on that from the Nepal perspective. You are also the member of formulating the standards over there. So in Nepal, regarding safety, what kind of inbuilt requirements in the standards which the Nepal country is following?
Okay. In Nepal, the OHS condition is not so very good, because the industry, they don't care about this environment in OHS. They care about quality, but OHS and environment is not taken care. And there are very few government regulations regarding the OHS aspects. There are some in Nepali called SRAM Kanun. SRAM means Labor Act. Labor Act and rules, but they are very generic, not very specific, and the implementation part of the rules and regulations is very poor. The manpower, there are not so many manpower to monitor and to inspect the factories. In most of the factories, they don't go and they don't see what is the condition of the factory. There are some legal provision in the act and rules, but is not being followed. So, and as we know, there are ISO 9001 certification, ISO 14001 certification, but ISO 45001 certification is, I think there is no any ISO 45001 certification in Nepal. I think Mr. Sundar Kadaria also, I think there is no any certification on ISO 45001 in Nepal from ICS. Maybe I heard that there are few companies, they have been certified, but I don't know who are the this certification body. So we are in preliminary condition regarding the OHS, Occupational Health and Safety Management System. I have been certified. I'm certified auditor from BSI India just 3 years ago, but I have not done any this audit, because there is no any opportunity to do the audit. So this is the case in Nepal.
Yeah. Now coming to Kataria sir, we just wanted to know from the engineering controls point of view and the manufacturers who are actually manufacturing the machines and the equipments. So what you feel, to what extent we are maintaining or we have requirements in our Indian standards?
Yeah, very well. This Indian standard, as Anand sir, compliment Anand sir, you have explained in very detail, vertical as well as horizontal, covering all the activities related to the engineering safety. And Suvarna sir also shown concern about the Nepal, that still it has to come to the age when it comes to the safety standard. So, well, engineering plays very important role, because what you can have on the blueprint you design, so has to be. I can give you a simple example of that casting and a small organization who are doing the casting, using furnaces, using equipment, using the handling system, and then making the pattern, and then pouring it hot metal and other things. If you see, the engineering has to play very important role right from the capacity of furnace, type of the furnace, then how the metal is put in the furnace, charging of the furnace, then how you are handling the hot metal, remove the slag and all these things. It plays, so engineering has to play very important role. Apart from that, the hot metal in the ladle, how it is transported and pour into the mold, and then pulling of molds and all those things. We have seen many accidents are happening if there is no proper engineering design played there. Though it looks very simple, but it has to be there. Only my concern is there when we talk about this thing, we talk about the corporate sectors, and we talk about the people, but we don't focus the MSME and unorganized sectors, where it is very much concerned. Many accidents are taking place. People lose their jobs. People lose their livelihood. So we have to focus those areas, most important. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So, as we in our detail today's presentation, we touched upon the engineering, machinery, vehicle movements, safety for. So, more or less, all these are associated with the plant layout, equipment, and machinery that you have, the process flow, and the receipt of material, actual processing, storage, and dispatch. So, when we actually establish a plant, we have in our mind that we will have this the layout, entire layout of our plant. But when we have some organization, if they are there in the business and if they want to expand, in that case, these issues are coming up regarding the movement area around the working area, storage areas, unloading. So then when we thought of expanding, then that it would definitely have impact on, or we definitely compromise on that. So whenever we, the organization apply for the expansion on that, so whether these aspects are also considered while approving the further expansion, or at the initial phase also the layout and the other things also considered before approving the organization for this operation. Anand sir.
Generally, the safety is in everybody's mind, because this is a area, or this is a process which is inbuilt in our mind. So whenever we are being planning and designing things, the safety is there in that. Only thing is, yes, when it is designed and planned accordingly and done, then sometimes the safety is not at stake. But generally, when we are expanding, that time it is not with the engineering control, it is with everyone whosoever is working and wanting to go fast without taking any attention on various other aspects. So then he is going to get met with an accident. And this is what here the Indian industry or any other industry, when there is expansion, that time they are not taking well care of that, because they are only seeing the normal and to extend his factory. So that is to be seen prior to start the work. So whenever the extension is there, it must be taken care of that.
Yes, yes. With respect to the engineering controls, basically these controls are very important from the safety point of view, as well as to minimize or eliminate the human errors. So the human persons working on that, if you have inbuilt interlocks and controls on that. So what normally observed is that though the equipment manufacturer, they have some inbuilt system, maybe some interlocks are there or some trick mechanisms are there, but the verification of that, because OEM just supply the material and just to provide the O&M manual. But during the assessment, I also come to know that whether the persons are not enoughly trained for the maintenance or some calibration or verification of those controls, whether they are in place or not. Normal operations, they do not operate or they do not work, but certainly they need to be checked. But the issue is the employees are not trained for verification of inbuilt safety interlocks and trip mechanisms OEM is providing. So Katare sir, I just wanted to know in what way the organization should have the verification of those controls, whether they should have in-house or they should go with the OEM to have an agreement to check those engineering controls, whether they are in place or not, or some maintenance or calibration is required for those equipments and machineries.
Well, on this aspect, I want to say some good safety practices has to be followed. Like this European countries or Gulf and Middle East, I have seen they follow very rigidly about the competence of the people. Now, when you start engineering control, and the person has to know if he's using the forklift. Now, I have seen in Gulf countries, forklift can lift up to 50 feet height, 60 feet height, and it has to travel in the track, which is very narrow track. In narrow track, and he has to go reverse. And then those sensors, then other things are in place. Now, unless you train your operator, you can't operate those machines, which has to go 50 feet height, pick up the box and bring it down and again load it. So this training competence is a part of continuous process, has to be there. And there has to be have practice like this. Safety officer has to be there. And then safety audit has to be conducted. How strong is your safety audit? Not for the namesake. It has to really do it, whether it's a logistic, whether it's the machine operation, whether it's a housekeeping, all vertically, it should cover everything horizontally, all the activities. Then only it can be most effective. So competence is very, whether internal or external. Now, internal, you can provide it, your safety officer is very competent and he's a good facilitator to provide proper training. Apart from the training, assessment is most important. Like if you see in Gulf countries, UAE, there are defense department who have approved the training centers, and they only can train the people for those operators and other people. So similar things in India also we have, but still the commitment by the top management, by the management, the resources are lacking. That's what I feel. I say Anand will say something on this. What do you say, sir?
Yeah, sir, you are absolutely pointed out. And I also wanting to focus on this, although I have not taken much time on my presentation also, that is the knowledge. Knowledge about the machine, knowledge about the machine's hazards, knowledge about the risk, and knowledge about the risk, significant risk, and their controls and usage of PPE, which is much more required in the industry, which is generally lacking. Sumit sir will.
Sumit sir is also raised his hand. Sumit sir, do you want to add on?
So I actually I'm out of turn, but apologize. So what I wanted to say is basically engineering controls, maybe the key in engineering controls, according to me, is the hierarchy of controls. So if you see the hierarchy of controls, it has 5 basic constituents to it. So one is the elimination theory, where you eliminate the possible risk that is foreseen. So you try to eliminate a particular risk. For example, if a machine is there and let's say it's a cutting saw, and if you have a cutting saw and it has exposed errors, so you try to eliminate the risk of a fall on that saw. So you put a guard. So that is kind of elimination. Then you have, if you can't eliminate, then you talk about substitution. So can that saw itself be substituted by something else so that the external surface is not there? So the second theory, I think, is substitution. So these are the 5 hierarchies that normally any machine, when you make any machine, you go for these 5 risks associated with OH&S. So if you have occupational health safety, you have 5 types of elimination theories and hierarchy of controls. First is your elimination. Second is you substitute it. Third is your engineering control. So can you have an engineering control like a motion sensor ki wo vicinity mein agar if any person is going into that vicinity, it stops. Or if someone has to fall over, or if there is load is more, it stops. If you do not put the guard on, it doesn't function. So some kind of engineering controls, for example, like your rolling machines, your cutting machines, your shearing machines, your punching machines, your die and punching machine, they always have a cover which you have to put down. And if the cover is not put down, you cannot, the machine doesn't start. So these are the kind of engineering controls. Or else you have administration controls. So administrative controls is there. And the 5th one of the hierarchy of controls is typically what you would call the PPEs. So your PPEs are there, and your PPEs are used as the 5th control in hierarchy of controls in machine design. So whenever you're trying to do a design, it is looked at from a risk analysis perspective. And when you look at a risk analysis perspective to any machine, any facility, you would put elimination, substitution, engineering, administration, and the last one is PPE. PPE is your last resort. But in India, we start with PPE and we look at PPE as our basic control method. No, it is not a basic control method. And this is applicable in terms of machine design. It is applicable to any machine. For example, if I have to take you through the entire gamut of this, if you will give me another 2 minutes or 3 minutes with your permission, sir. So when you talk about it, any machine, like you have a guard, there's a hierarchy where we have more than about, say, 25,000 plus accidents every year in terms of amputations, lacerations, crushing injuries, and abrasion injuries. These are the basic 4 or 5 types of injuries that we have, and we have almost close to 25,000 a year, and we have 800 deaths as per the ratio which is available. Obviously, it is way too low, and it is applicable to all kinds of machinery. You will have mechanical power presses, power brakes, you have the non-powered brakes, you have printing machinery, you have roll forming machinery, you have bending machinery, shearing, then you will have meat grinders. In fact, the food industry has become mechanized to a very, very big extent. So you have mixers, churners, grinders, you have milling machines, you have grinders, you have lathe machines. All of this, whatever the risk which is associated. There was a point which came out that when you are renovating your shop floor, and if you suppose I have a shop floor and I have not thought about the future, and I have already met my production capacity. Now, if I want to increase my production capacity, I have to make another line, or I have to put another machine subsequent to it. This is where I look at the risk. It is tailor-made. So Yogesh asked a very valuable question. Do you go get one person to handle it for you? No, you know your risk the best. So if you can analyze your risk, put these 5 controls, which is the hierarchy of controls to each machine. For example, let's take an example of a power or of a shearing machine, very simple shearing machine. Now, shearing machine mein, the first control is that it will shear. So you have a kind of a guard on it, or a gate. So unless and until you put the gate down, the machine cannot go under operation. So that is a kind of an engineering control. Then you have something which is a 2-hand control. So agar ek button hai, you replace it with 2 buttons. So unless both the buttons are pressed, it will not come down. The moment you do that, both the hands of the operator are on the button, and there will be no question of sharing, punching, cutting, or abrasive injuries. So you use two-hand controls. These are the various engineering controls that you put. And obviously then you had splinters. So you would wear your PPE, you would have protective coverage. It should not be, too loose and so on and so forth. So that's all I wanted to put light upon. Back to you all, sir.
Yes, very correct, sir. These 5 controls in hierarchy, but least bothered. Everyone focuses on the PPE, and unfortunately, the auditors also go to verify the PPE whether they are there or not. This is the least, the last option that the organization will have to have the risk mitigation as a control for the risk associated with. Sir, regarding Subrata sir, Subrata Upadhyay sir. So regarding the operations or the risk factor. So the internal audits plays a very vital role. So in Nepal, whether the organization, if they do, they conduct the internal audits. So internal audits is also mandatory, maybe for different reasons also. So do they cover the safety aspects also in their internal audits for the plants where the organizations are some hazardous processes or hazardous chemicals or the more risks associated with the processes? So in those companies, whether the safety access is also considered, at least internal audits, and they have some kind of mitigative measures for those. Sir, you are muted, sir. Sir, you are muted. Please unmute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, this internal audit is not mandatory. It is mandatory only when there is a management system certification. And in Nepal, there are very few, maybe I think if we combine ISO 9000, 14,000 or other management system, maybe nearly 1,000, 1,200 companies are certified with the management system. And when it is certified with the ISO 14,001, they go for some this risk assessment. But in internal audit is only done if they are certified with the management system. So management, the internal audit, those companies who are not certified, they even don't know what is internal audit. So they conduct internal audit, but I think you also know most of the internal audits are conducted by the consultants. And the company, they are not well trained. I'm actually a trainer. When I go for the training and ask them, they don't know anything. They are already certified with 9,000, 14,000, but they don't know what is QMS, what is GMS, because the consultant take care of them. Consultancy, documentation, internal audits. So this is the case. So some industries, they identify the risk, means identify the NCs regarding the incidents, accidents, record this records of accidents, and what is the corrective action taken. But data analysis is very poor. They don't analyze the data, what type of accidents are there, what type of risk identified. And the recent ISO 9000 and ISO 14,000, they have this risk and opportunity. In this part also, some companies, they identify risk related to the occupational health and safety. They combine it. Actually, it should be an integrated management system, then it's good. But ISO 9000 mainly focus on quality, ISO 14,000 mainly focus on environment, and OHS mainly focus on occupational health and safety. So if there is an integrated management system, then it should be incorporated. And according to my side, the main problem lies on the top management. If the top management is not committed, the organization cannot implement any type of this, and they should provide the resources. They should train the people. People are not trained. Why? Because it is because of the top management. People are not competent. Why? Because of the top management. They do not provide resources. They do not provide training. They do not want to make expenditure on training, human resource management. So main root cause is on the management side. And why the top management is not committed? Because there is no any effective legal enforcement. So I think this is the main root cause of all these problems.
Yes, you are
I
right.
agree with-
more or less.
I-
Yes, answer.
I agree with Suvarna sir, but additionally, I would like to add that the top management, I generally take it on the second part. The first part, I'm taking the supervisor or the person responsible for that safety. And every organization has been given. Now, what is happening, the top management, sometimes he is not being updated on certain issues. And there are certain general safety which everyone must take and which is very well displayed, that also being overlooked. That is a major concern of the industry nowadays, because every machinery is, as per the Factory Act, the machineries are being supplied with the guarded, with the controls, with everything, it is there. And also the person who is working, he's an operator, let it be he is a 12th pass, or he is a ITI, or he is a BTech, or he is a diploma, but he is having certain knowledge about that, he have the skill, but that skill also he is overlooking. So that is again a major issue in the industry nowadays for the engineering controls.
Yes. Kataria sir, I just wanted to know whether the organizations, you have a vast experience of auditing, OSHA's also, HSM also. So whether the organizations have put efforts, or do they have a system of verifying whatever the engineering controls are, or the other aspects like the plant layout, movements, trip floor, vehicle movements, material handling, whether those are adequately covered in their internal audits. So what is your...
Yeah, well, when it comes to audit, so I have seen the organization which are committed organization, like corporate, they cover all the activities, whether it's a logistic, whether it's handling, whether it's storage of the hazardous material. So everything they have been controlling, and lifting, working at heights. So various type of industries has various type of risks are there. So they have been adequately covering it. Only sometimes you face problem with the available resources. If the safety manager has left, it takes time to get another safety manager. So those things are taken. Plus preventive maintenance or predictive maintenance, that also has been lacking. For the namesake, they do it, but they have to do it really seriously and see all the guards are in place, all the sensors are working, everything has to be there. But one thing from pandemic we have seen, pandemic was the big risk. Now most of the organization taken up the risk with the pandemic, and they had a good control. They had good training for the workers and the staff and managers. So when they could do there, they can also do the engineering similarly. And plus today state of art, electronics has been taking over to the controls. We have artificial intelligence system built in the machines, like this injection molding machines and injection, plastic injection machine. Today, accidents are very few because those biological sensors and guards and proper cover, even say the CNC machine. There is also a state of art today, you can see. So that eliminates a lot of accident taking place. Only we had to stress upon training. So management has to take care of the training and the audits. As Suvarna sir has told, internal audit has to be taken care. So I will emphasize on these two things. Thank you.
Yeah, Anand sir,
Yeah.
what is your experience regarding the internal audits, internal safety audits of the organizations?
Internal safety audits are very far away now when we talk about the safety audits, which is done by the external agencies, even the person who are qualified for by the factory inspectors and various, they are also not so, you can say, specific and strict. And here, the moment they get strict, definitely this internal audit and the knowledge and people will start searching the requirement. The safety audits, which is being done, it is we have seen changes during the audits also. If the audit is done properly, the next time there are a lot of changes are there. And definitely it can be only resolved with the knowledge. And this knowledge will only help the internal auditors to conduct the safety audits properly. So internal audit is very much important. And I always say internal audit is a mirror to the organization, because that is a backbone of the organization. In case if they are not doing it properly, yes, that they cannot come out by the external audit or by the regulatory audit, because that is a penalty being given by them only. But learning is given in the internal auditor itself. So must have their internal auditors inbuilt, qualified, knowledgeable. Sir.
Yes, sir.
I would support Suvarna sir regarding the effectiveness internal audit. Recently, we did some audit. When I asked, have you done the internal audit? Then he told me last 2 years we were in pandemic and it was very difficult to do. But we have been doing annual audit. I said, let me see the report. Then what report they have shown me, it was a report of the financial progress report. Now, so whether it is commitment of the top management or awareness of the system, management system, so there is a big question mark. Of course, then I had to educate them that for ISO internal audit means you have to have proper audit done, all the organization as per ISO clauses. So you cover everything, right from the objective, policy to management system to everything. Suvarna sir, you will agree with me?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I
the
agree.
Management commitment is most important.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't see, he wants to see only financial result. At the end of the day, how much he has earned, whether he lost the money or he made the money, whether his manpower is effective or not effective. So there they put more emphasis rather than the technical audit, ISO audit. Thank you. Management audit.
I request audience to participate. You can participate by through chat, or also you can raise your hand so that we can give opportunity to participate, or if you have any questions, you can talk with the panel members. Now coming to this, Suvarna sir, is there any drive or some initiative taken by the Nepal government regarding this OHSMS safety management, or some drive for minimum safety within the organization?
Actually, there is no any initiative taken by the. There is a Labor Act. It is a very old one, and it not only it means it is not only mainly focused on the OHS aspect. There are many other factors also. Facilities of the workers are like this. So actually, the government has not given the emphasis on this OHS in industry. So this is the main. What I already told you, that the lack of regulation and effective enforcement of the regulation. This is very poor. So this is the reason the companies, they are not willing to give emphasis on the OHS in the organizations. If the legal enforcement is very effective, or there are specific legal requirements related to OHS, then they should have to do. Only those companies who are certified, they do in the paper only, and there is no any government inspectors. They go and see all the companies what is the condition of the company, what is the OHS situation in the organization. So this is the case. The main thing is the government is not giving emphasis on the.
Correctly said. Actually, the Factory Act in India and the Labor Act 1992 in Nepal is giving the complete coverage of the safety of the employees from the engineering controls. But those things are not taken care. That is a big concern.
Yeah, Mr. Anil Silwal, who is a participant, he has written in charter that in Nepal, EHS rules is not strictly followed, but the construction company which are funded by the international banks, EHS is the first priority. That means he wants to say that the construction companies where those are funded by international banks, the EHS is more followed there at construction site.
No, it is again it is the similar way which I was telling. It is not a human error, it is a human behavior. The same company which is working for the international company and the company which is working for the national, they have their two different system and the same people are working. So this we have to have a improvement in the human behavior also, because human behavior is playing a big role in that.
Yes, quickly, we are now, it's 12:30. Quickly, participants, audience, if you want to ask something, you can raise your hand or you can put your question in chat box. Anyone want to ask something? You can, otherwise you can also unmute yourself and you can ask your questions directly to the panel members. Anyone? Okay, to conclude, I just wanted to know from Kataria sir. So we have started the sessions on the safety related to OHS, occupational health and safety. And so today we have covered the safety, that's the engineering controls and the other aspects of the safety, like the vehicle movement and these. So for the MSME point of view, where the resources are very less, the premises or the plant premises are very less, and the competency level of the persons, these are also not that much comparing to the other plants. So for the MSME, what you basically advise on these engineering controls, to what extent they should follow, and what are the means and ways to know about the engineering controls which are available in market, and to adapt those and put in place in their organizations. Sir, you are muted, sir. Please unmute.
Yeah,
Yes,
for
sir.
MSME, we cannot generalize what is to be done. Only if you see, they should follow the Factory Act, which requires safety norms to be followed. Now, if you take generally MSME, they have very few machines. Maybe they are doing it work for some automobile company making small components, unmachined component and supplying them. They may have 2-3 lathe machine, drilling machine, all. Now these equipment have the system, they are provided with the guard from the day one. But during this process of production, other thing, they compromise, they don't put back after maintaining these guards. So that they have to follow. Now, who has to have monitoring and supervision of these aspects? So MSc may also put some time, efforts carrying out this one. Plus, what I will say, they should follow some 5 years or Kaizen system where they can improve on these aspects. If they follow the Kaizen and they have the meeting with the workers and they talk about the safety or improvement, so they can have better effective system. What do you say, sir? Swarna sir or Apna Anand
Yes,
Palji?
Anand sir and Swarna sir.
Absolutely, sir. That Factory Act, in case if we are going, it is giving the complete detail. Only thing is, the people are not going through the act, and that makes the people unaware about the requirements. So whatever it is being told, and this like when it is to be told, so that then training is conducted. So in that training, that Factory Act is completely explained, so people comes to know. The moment you take any act, it is giving the complete and entire requirement in that. So it is a very important thing.
But who is responsible? Is the MSME? Is it the authority? Is the Factory Act inspector? Who is responsible? Who has to who has to start working on that one?
There are two main persons are responsible. One is the individual and the top management, and in between the supervisor and the people who are working around, because everyone is having their own responsibilities in that. So we, during the audit also, we have seen that yes, people are aware of things, but they have not percolated their knowledge to other that can happen through training. The top management is not focusing on their people and not spending money. That is another case. And the individual are not, they are just following what it is told to them. They are competent, they are BTech, mechanical, MTech, they have done a lot of things, but in case of the act requirement, they are not aware. So everybody is having small or some or other involvement into this. So everybody is including the you can say stakeholders also. So like regulatory boards also. So everybody is responsible in this.
Yes, yes. I think Subarna sir is not there. So thank you, Anand sir, for the nice presentation and elaborating the safety aspects related to the engineering controls. And Subarna sir is there. So any message to our medium, small scale industries regarding this safety, the engineering controls, and overall your advice to the organizations for the safety?
Yeah, safety is a very important thing. I already told you that nobody is taking care of these things, and not only human losses, there are a lot of economic losses are there, and the industries are there also not realizing the fact that because of the OHS situation, they are losing a lot. So the government should give emphasis on the OHS aspect. And there should be some incentives given to the small and medium scale industries if they really effectively implement the OHS minimum. They can put some minimum requirement. If they implement effectively, then they should get some incentives from the government. Then it could be, it will be really implemented in the organization. They will be benefited.
Yes, yes, very correct, sir. Thank you for thank you, Anand sir, for the nice presentation and overall explaining the facts and the controls that we organization should have. Thank you, audience, Sumit sir, to intervene and explain his views. Thank Kataria sir and Suparna sir for sharing their views on this very important topic. We will continue with the safety OHSMS series, and for today we will stop here for these panel discussions. Now I will hand it over to Manali for future further. Thank you.
Thank you to all panelists. Our next session on 19th March on occupational health and industrial hygiene. Paryavartan is an annual virtual exhibition and conference organized by ICS. This year, we are going to celebrate Paryavartan from 2nd to 4th June. Here is our banner of Paryavartan with the theme, Only One Earth. During Paryavartan, we will be having eminent environmentalists from various industries sharing their views and knowledge about sustainable environment. So do join us during the Paryavartan. ICS is pleased to provide you all its research and development, integrated management system, OQMS, EMS, and OHSAS, excellence in educational management, ISO made easy in Gujarati, Marathi, Telugu, and Hindi. For reading any of the above books, please contact Ms. Hushma. Your feedback is of utmost importance. Please register on www.sadgunsang.org and go in your login and give feedback. Thank you for being a part of Sadgun Sang. Wish you all a happy weekend.